Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the Listen Up Girl podcast, your daily LGBTQ plus news podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and today is Wednesday, May the 13th, and we have a lot to get through today. Some is heartbreaking, some is infuriating, and maybe one or two glimmers of hope. So let's get right into it, starting with Jason Collins. We start today with the hardest story and one that hits our community deeply. Jason Collins, the NBA's first openly gay player, has died of brain cancer. He was 47 years old. Collins died on May 12th after battling stage 4 brain cancer, one of the most aggressive forms of brain cancer. He had first shared his diagnosis publicly back in December of 2025. Most of you know the name, but let me remind you why it matters. Jason Collins came out in 2013, making him the first openly gay active player in Men's North America Sports League. That was not a small thing. That was a seismic thing. He wrote about it himself in a first-person essay for Sports Illustrated. He said that this is a line that still gives me chills. I'm a 34-year-old NBA center. I'm Black. I'm gay. Simple, declarative, brave. Then President Barack Obama called him to express support. Steve Nash, a two-time NBA MVP, posted his maximum respect. And he didn't just come out and walk out. He wore a jersey number 98 in honor of Matthew Shepard, whose 1998 murder ultimately led to the passage of a federal hate crime prevention act bearing his name. That's the kind of man he was. Every detail intentional, every choice a statement. Last week, Collins received the inaugural Bill Walton Global Champion Award at the Green Sports Alliance Summit. He was too ill to attend, and his twin brother, Jaron, accepted for him. Jaron said at the podium, "He is the bravest, strongest man I have known." NBA Commissioner Adam Silver Collins' impact one that extended far beyond basketball, saying he helped make the NBA and the broader sports world more inclusive and welcoming for future generations. Jason Collins was 47 years old. He is survived by his husband, Brunson Green. So rest in power, Jason. We see you and we always will. Very sad. Next, trans students murdered at University of Washington. Staying with grief for a moment, because we have to, a 19-year-old trans student was found dead Sunday evening at the Nordheim Court apartment complex affiliated with the University of Washington in Seattle. Officers responded to reports of a stabbing around 10 p.m. Emergency responders attempted life-saving measures, but the student was pronounced dead at the scene. Police have not announced a motive, and no arrests have been made. The killing has sparked renewed conversations around campus, safety, anti-trans rhetoric, and fears LGBTQ plus students are experiencing across the country right now. And then, because the cruelty of this moment has never seen a bottom, Turning Point USA had a campus event scheduled at UW this week, 3 days after the student was killed. Students flooded the group's social media pages calling for cancellation. One commentator wrote, "A trans student was murdered last night. Please cancel this event." Another wrote that the group's rhetoric may have contributed to a violent death in our community. Late Tuesday night, anti-trans activist Chloe Cole, who was set to speak, announced the event would be postponed, citing safety concerns. We are thinking today about the family of the 19-year-old, about every trans student on that campus who walks through these halls and wonder if they're safe. They deserve so much better. Our next story is GLAAD's Social Media Safety Index of 2026. So let's talk about the internet because it's getting worse for us. And now we have the receipts. GLAAD released its 2026 Social Media Safety Index last week, and the findings are not good. I talked about this story a little bit last week, but scores have dropped across the board, with TikTok being the only platform to hold steady. X, formerly Twitter, ranked last with a score of 29 out of 100. YouTube dropped a staggering 11 points to score just 30, and Meta's platforms all declined. Instagram scored 41, Facebook 40, and Threads 39. YouTube's steepest drop came after the platform removed gender identity from its hate speech protections. TikTok was the only platform whose scores did not decline. GLAAD researchers linked the declines to policy rollbacks, reduced transparency, and weakening protection for LGBTQ plus users. particularly transgender and nonconforming people. GLAAD CEO Sarah Kate Ellis put it plainly. These companies are failing us, not accidentally, not passively. They're making calculated choices, and those choices have real consequences. Online harassment, suppressed content, and a community that increasingly feels unwelcome in digital spaces we help build. TikTok at 56 out of 100 is technically the winner here, and that's a depressing sentence to say out loud. Come on, do better, social platforms. Protect all the people on your platform. Next, Poland commits to recognizing same-sex marriages. So we need some good news, and we're going to get some with an asterisk because nothing is ever simple. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk said Tuesday that his government would quickly work to follow recent court rulings requiring Poland to legally recognize same-sex marriages conducted in other European member nations. Speaking ahead of the cabinet meeting, Tusk also offered a public apology, saying he wanted to address what he calls years of rejection and humiliation that same-sex couples have experienced in Poland. He said this is a matter of human dignity, the right to happiness, and the right to equal treatment by the state. And he added, for many years, the state has failed the test. Now, the asterisk, Tusk was careful to note the recognition of foreign same-sex marriage is no way a path of possibility to adoption. And any legislation that passes still has to go through Poland's conservative Catholic president, who has already threatened to veto LGBTQ plus related bills. But more importantly, the mayor of Warsaw separately announced that his city will begin to recognize same-sex marriages of Polish citizens conducted elsewhere in the EU, even before the national government acts. That's movement, real movement from a country that just a few years ago had a so-called LGBTQ free zone on its map. We'll take that with eyes wide open. Next, Margaret Cho and the cost of speaking up. This is one of the stories that's been circulating for a couple of months, but it's getting new attention this week, and it deserves yours. Comedian and actress Margaret Cho, who we all love, revealed that she was originally offered a role in Heated Rivalry, the hit HBO Plus hockey drama. During casting in 2025, she turned it down because she was afraid to cross the border into Canada, where the show films. Cho was direct about it. She said, I was like, I will get detained at the border and I will get put in ICE detention if I go. She said she received death threats that people had threatened to report her to Homeland Security. She said no, and she still is devastated about it. She said, it kills me. It's all because of the orange convicted felon. The role ultimately went to the actress Christina Chang, who Cho praised generously. But the fact that a prominent American artist, a queer woman of color, who has been outspoken about the administration, felt unsafe crossing a border to do her job. That is not a small story at all. This is a story about what this political climate is doing to our creative community, to our voices, to the cost of being visible and loud. Margaret Cho should have been on that show, and the reason she isn't is because of a political one. I love Margaret Cho. Love her. Next, Pulse Memorial update. This is older news that refuses to stop hurting. Demolition of the Pulse nightclub building in Orlando officially began back in March. Crews tearing down the walls that were still had bullet holes from June 2016 attack that killed 49 people. The city of Orlando purchased the property in 2023 and plans to build a $12 million permanent memorial that will be open in 2027. That part, the memorial, is meaningful, but that story doesn't end there. You may recall that last year, the state of Florida painted over the rainbow crosswalk outside the Pulse overnight with no warning to Orlando officials. Mayor Buddy Dyer called it a cruel political act. The Department of Transportation said the crosswalk didn't comply with the new rules prohibiting pavement markings associated with social, political, or ideological interest. A crosswalk honoring 49 murdered people painted over in the dark of the night. Pulse shooting survivor Brandon Wolf said it perfectly. In the dark of night, they came to erase our show of solidarity, our declaration that we will never forget. The building is coming down to make space for something more permanent, something they can't quietly paint over at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we will be watching. Next, Spain tops Europe's LGBTQ plus rights rankings. Let's end on something that at least points towards what's possible. Spain has taken a slot in the ILGA Europe's 2026 Rainbow Map ranking as the best country in Europe for LGBTQ plus rights. Spain's move to number 1 came after introducing new legal protections, a new independent equal treatment authority, and fully implementing the pathologization of trans identities in healthcare. The pathologization of trans identities in healthcare means that Spain has formally stopped treating being trans as a disorder that needs to be fixed, and that is a big deal. But the report also includes a sobering note. In Spain, assaults on LGBTQ plus people have risen from 7 to 22% in just 2 years, off the back of rising hate speech. So yes, Spain has the best laws, and these laws are not yet keeping people safe in the streets. Rights on paper and safety in real life are two different things, and we have to fight for both. Still, it's a model. It's proof that government can choose to get this right, and right now, we still need those examples. So let's hope that Spain makes safety for LGBTQ plus people a little safer. We need to get that number down from 22%. We need it to 0%, actually, but let's work towards 5%. So that's today's Listen Up Girl podcast. We lost Jason Collins yesterday, and we are grieving a trans student in Seattle. And we are still watching online for spaces that get less safe by the year, and we are still here louder than ever. Thanks for listening. Share this episode. Please rate it. The more you rate it, the more people see this episode. Tell someone and take care of yourself today. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay loud, and thanks for listening.